I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. Trisha Calvarese is in studio.
Does she know this is KNUS? That's what I tell her.
I know she has to tell you. She's like, I was warned. I was warned to come on the show. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are in a Democrat primary, but let's give people some brief history. You were the Democrat nominee against both Greg Lopez and Lauren Boebert, and you're back for more.
That's right. To finish the job, man. Let's go. Let's go.
There you go. Give people a little bit of your background. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm a hometown girl through and through. Colorado native. Earliest days were in Sterling, where Dad was the city attorney back in the day. And I grew up with Highlands Ranch, back when it was a ranch, there were wild horses. I still think it takes 10 minutes to get everywhere. Parker was not even a concept.
Right. Well, yeah. And I remember we would drive in high school out to that point. I forget the name of it. Daniels Park.
That's right.
And that was way out there. Now it's just a whole bunch of homes, just everywhere out there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, and when we got DIA, that was a big deal. It was our fun Friday nights. We would drive out to the airport and hang out at DIA. Yeah, but I went to our amazing public schools, earned a full academic scholarship to the Johns Hopkins University.
What did you study?
I studied writing seminars, to everyone's dismay. They were like, "Hey, just do biomedical engineering, be a doctor." That, film media, and psych brain science. Graduated into the Great Recession, right when the economy totally tanked. So I've really been fighting for the middle class my entire adult career. I worked at the AFL-CIO. A lot of people don't know what that is. That's America's unions. They represent working people in every industry, every background, from every political walk of life. And I also was a civil servant at the United States National Science Foundation. That's like NASA's dorky older brother, okay? People don't know what that one is either. They're really cool. It's American competitiveness. It's, you name a piece of technology in the last 75 years probably started with an NSF grant. And I was working actually on the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act when I got a call, and my mom had terminal pancreatic cancer. And my dad had been dying of kidney cancer for years, and his medicine had stopped working that year. So, thanks to my union, I was able to drop everything, come home, and I'm an only kid, and provided their end-of-life care at home. And going through that, even in Douglas County, I see how messed up our healthcare system is, where there were so few options, it's not going to work for anybody. So, I honored my dad's dying wish. He was a Republican. Both my parents were, conservative. Mom was MAGA. Dad was your, classic Republican. We had some great debates in our house, but, he told me, look, kid, this community has given you so much. You got to step up and give it back. So I decided to run, and this was even, Ken Buck was going to leave. I had no idea it was going to be Boebert. So I knew I was going to step up and run, and I did. Overperformed,
It's the most conservative congressional district in Colorado. I think you lost to Greg Lopez by 13, Boebert by 10. Why this seat? Why not state house? If you ran for state house, where total Democrat control, you could seek leadership positions, that type of thing. Why Congress in such a conservative district?
Well, I think number one, there needs to be kind of a reckoning within the Democratic Party. It was very hard to outrun the top of the ticket, especially when the Democrats, and I'll call them out, they lied to us about President Biden's health, right? That was incredibly difficult. But I overperformed Harris by nearly 7 points. It's conservative, but I think that the values are aligned. And I think that the Democratic Party needs to get back to what it used to be, fighting for the middle class, fighting for hardworking Americans. And that's what I am, that's what I represent. And it's really exciting to kind of see the change that I've been able to help inspire. I debated Lopez. I debated Hannah Goodman, who's the Libertarian chair. She just switched to the Democratic Party, and she's crediting me. We're building a new type of Democrat. It's like a new old school type of Democrat. And I think in a two-party system, that's exactly what we need.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation. I'll ask the tough questions coming up. You're not going to want to miss this. Trisha Calvarese, we've been trying for years to have you in studio. You're here. We're so glad to have you. It's an honor. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment. Hey, good morning. It is Wednesday, 36 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 55 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, a number of Minnesota officials are testifying at a congressional hearing on government fraud allegations in the state. 3 Republican state lawmakers will appear before the U.S. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. That committee's chairman, Representative James Comer, is also invited. Tim Walz and the Somali pirates. No, they're not going to be there. And state AG, the corrupt Keith Ellison, to testify at a future hearing.
The Coast Guard who are used for this are these elite forces who are very highly trained, specially trained for these sort of dangerous boardings like this. So this is literally what they're trained to do.
The U.S. has seized 2 Venezuela-linked oil tankers. HHS Secretary Kristi Noem said one was seized in the North Atlantic and the other was seized near the Caribbean. Both vessels were either docked in Venezuela or were heading there. Noem said that the tanker seized in the Atlantic had been trying to evade the Coast Guard for weeks and even changed its flag and name. It all comes after, of course, DJT said Venezuela will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S.
Mr. Trump said the money will be used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. By Wednesday, officials in Venezuela had not confirmed any agreement had been reached or what they would receive in return.
Police still pursuing leads after that deadly Saturday night shooting in Denver. Someone fired shots into a group that was celebrating the capture of Maduro. It happened on East Hampden Avenue. 1 person died, 3 others wounded. Police still trying to identify possible suspects, and anyone with information about the shooting should contact Metro Denver Crime Stoppers.
We're finally in a season where people are responding with incitement, enthusiasm, and confidence in my campaign that there's a candidate who can actually win the general.
Victor Marks is running for governor here in Colorado, and he was on with Jeff and Bill this morning. His campaign has raised over $600,000. You heard it here first, and there's a lot of energy around Marks.
People know I'm not a politician, and I'm not about politicking, and I think they see a consistency of what I've said from the beginning and how I've refused to play by the handbook or playbook of a lot of politicians. I just said I wouldn't do it. And what I mean by that is I've been told by other candidates and groups, you have to come here, you have to speak, you have to do this. And I would say, well, we have a very disciplined, structured, strategic approach to campaigning. We're going to stick to it.
And he also says he's going to make Colorado more affordable and get rid of those silly laws about no plastic bags in supermarkets. We're going to bring plastic bags back. All right, I love it. Candace Owens exposing a lot of people in Charlie's case. Tyler Robinson ate a great meal at a steakhouse 3 hours away from Orem the night of the assassination, after the assassination. The restaurant in that town has the credit card receipt. They contacted the FBI, but FBI pretty nonchalant about learning about Robinson being there.
That Tyler Robinson was not very talkative. He seemed absolutely fine and normal and was texting on his phone. Maybe that's when he was sending more messages to his lover as he was eating a steak. He was sure hungry, is what I would say, but calm nonetheless. He didn't have the jitters. He wasn't scared. He was just hungry. Now, what's fascinating to me is what happens after, because again, I'm expecting that the feds would go, well, let us get down there. Let us get down to Panguitch. Let us start interviewing everybody. let's start checking all these cameras around here to see if we've got them. No, that's all they did.
There was no sense of urgency around that portion of the story. Did they know where he was, who he was? Much more today and throughout the week. I'll bring it for you and to you tomorrow. In case you didn't hear, John Harbaugh fired by the Ravens on Tuesday. College football playoffs continue tomorrow. Miami and Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl. Hockey last night. The Avalanche lose to the Lightning 4-2. 36 in Lone Tree, 35 in Broomfield, 36 in Denver. You are waking up with Jeff and Bill on Wednesday. Special guest in the studio right now, Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
More of the same, sunny to partly sunny skies, unseasonably mild with mid to upper 50s today, lows tonight near 30, and partly cloudy skies, middle to upper 50s Wednesday, 30s Wednesday night. We actually have a change in the weather coming at the end of the week. Actually could have some winter weather. Becoming cloudy Wednesday night with areas of light snow developing Thursday. Highs Thursday will be low to mid 40s and temperatures falling. Light snow Thursday night, much colder upper teens. Cold Friday, a few snow showers, highs 30s. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, Billy, we got one.
Yes.
We got a Democrat in studio.
Oh, I had to tell her she was going somewhere else. It's supposed to be a nice breakfast meeting and stuff, but, it worked.
Trisha Calvarese is live in studio with us. She challenged Greg Lopez and Lauren Boebert. She was a Democrat nominee for Congressional District 4. And look, there's heat. There's heat on both sides. We were just talking about that. I posted you were coming on the show, and people were like, how dare you platform a Democrat? I'm like, do you not? Half my show is a progressive unaffiliated named Bill Thorpe. I was like, we debate everything every day, including Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and plastic bags this morning.
And plastic bags. We debate it all on this show. It's why we're Denver's top talk radio show. Co-hosts that have sat here before, Deep Singh Badesha, CityCast Denver, lots of folks. I mean, we've had Bell Policy Center on before, so honored to have you here. It makes our show better to be able to talk and discuss and debate. Thank you, Trisha, for being here.
Well, and thank you for having me. I think people are so sick of the echo chambers they get stuck in, especially, when you look at what's happening on social media. We are literally programmed by these algorithms to kind of dehumanize each other, to just see each other as so other where we can't even engage. And that's dehumanizing. That is so dangerous. And I do not believe in that at all. I think you have to talk to each other. I think that's one of the most important things. And it's human to human connection, I think, is so important, especially in this AI era. As you're going to see technology advance, we have to have discussions, debates.
Well, let's dive right into it. You were going to make an announcement. You're in a Democrat primary right now. Who's your? I mean, I see Eileen Laubacher around on social media a lot. Is she your primary opponent here in the Democrat nomination, you think?
Sure. But I think we already have, one Republican who switched districts. That's in Lauren Boebert. I don't think we need another one.
Was she a Republican?
She was indeed. Yeah.
Eileen was a Republican. I didn't know.
Yeah. Just recently registered as a Democrat.
As a Democrat, and she's challenging you.
I'm honored that somebody of her stature saw the progress that I made against that red wave. No help from the National Party. That the
National Party didn't help you during the last cycle.
Really? Not.
I feel like National Dems always pick on Lauren. They're like, we're going to go after Lauren Boebert. We're going to throw money. Part of the reason I appreciate her is she drains so much money from Democrats. But they didn't help you.
No help.
They didn't help you.
No, all grassroots, man. So.
Wow. Okay, so give us your Q4 numbers.
Okay, drum roll. We raised over $1 million. $1 million. And this isn't, I don't take a cent of corporate PAC money. I don't take any money from any foreign special interest. These are small dollar donors. So the average donation is like $18 and change. Is
it a lot coming from Colorado, or is it out of the
A lot from Colorado and out of state as well. So. I'm
$1 million. That's a lot.
It is. Yes. So I personally, I believe in individualism. I believe you always take responsibility for whatever happens in your life, but the collective of just, folks chipping in a couple bucks at a time. I'm not beholden to anybody except for hardworking Americans, for these nurses, truckers, just people pitching in a few bucks at a time. And that's really, really exciting. That's what we need more of in politics.
That's Trisha Calvarese. She's live in studio with us. She's running for the Democrat nomination for to challenge Lauren Boebert. So you mentioned we need a different type of Democrat Party. I have had Democrats sit right where you are that say socialism is the way. Mamdani is the way. AOC, Bernie Sanders, 30,000 people at rallies in Denver for Bernie. Is socialism the future of the Democrat Party?
I don't necessarily think so, no. I think we need to get back to capitalism. That's not what we have right now. You look at big ag, big tech, big pharma. It is this market concentration where you don't have competition, where the little guy doesn't have a shot. That's not fair. That's not the America I grew up in. That's not the America I want. I'm for free markets. I like competition. That's not what we have. And Washington has been a part of the problem, like both sides are part of the problem that have helped rig the system.
So one of the concerns I have if Democrats get control of the House of Representatives is what we saw during Trump's first term, which was just nonstop impeachment proceedings, lots of investigations, no real governance. Look, I understand if parties want to differ and you want to be a roadblock to the agenda. I get that. I worked in D.C. I know how it works. But the constant lawfare, the investigations, is there anything Donald Trump has done in your mind where he deserves to be impeached during his second term?
Honestly, I want to focus on outcompeting China. I want to focus on creating jobs and opportunities here in our district in Colorado for the rising generation. Because I talk to families all the time and they are really worried about that. That's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the economy.
No impeachment of Donald Trump?
I don't necessarily think that that's going to yield anything.
Right.
To be fair, though, I do not think we need these... I don't even want to call it a regime change war because that's not what we have in Venezuela, right? When we're keeping the Maduro government in power, I certainly don't think we should be, invading Greenland. So we'll see, as things evolve. But that was also, Congress needs to do its frickin' job. Where Lauren Boebert voted to give up her constitutional authority for war powers. She voted against the vote they took in December on Congress authorizing war action in Venezuela. She voted against it. I think they need to reclaim that power. Congress needs to find its backbone, find its spine. Same with tariffs. That's the role of Congress.
Would you want war in Venezuela?
But make the case for it, right? If we're saying Maduro's such a bad guy, what's the plan to get him out? What's the plan to transition? I'm a millennial, man. I'm old enough to, we've gone through a lot of unprecedented events, but, I'm old enough to remember the precedent of Iraq. Right. And what happened there, right? Where it was horrible. It didn't work out very well. And where we ended up adding like $1 trillion to our debt. And we didn't invest that in our economy. We didn't invest that in infrastructure, in jobs here. So
I agree with you on that. What with Iraq and Afghanistan, I think there's hurt feelings, rightfully, and suspicion on getting entangled in Latin America. But what would you have done with Maduro?
Well, let's see the plan. What's the game plan, right?
But
when you're letting oil companies, when you're letting oil companies, right, know about this regime change that you're going to do before you let Congress know, that's not fair. That's not right. What's the game plan, man? So that the American people are not on the hook for it. Again, that's not capitalism. Paying for these oil companies, paying for these transnational corporations, for defense contractors to profit from regime change. That's BS. And also, if we are gonna try Maduro, right, for crimes of getting Americans addicted to drugs, when are we trying the Sackler family? When does Purdue Pharma, those executives who are responsible for the opioid crisis?
Weren't they tried? I thought they were tried.
No, they settled. There was like a settlement. But when are we holding them accountable? Yeah. When are we holding big insurance companies accountable for what they're doing? There was a big investigation out yesterday, what they're doing with PBMs. That's your pharmacy benefit managers. It's a shell game. They added a whole nother middleman so that they could hide their profits overseas. Where's the trial for that?
So if you got into Congress, you would use your office and power to investigate those types of entities,
and to try to and break up, man. Use the antitrust. I mean, for across the board, right? With meat packing too, where you're talking. I've been talking to these cattlemen. This is another example of kind of where Congress needs to assert its authority. I don't know why we're sending money to Argentina for them to import a bunch of beef right when our cattlemen are supposed to profit. That is a tough business.
I thought beef's a record high. I thought it was doing well.
Well, no, man. They've tanked the prices. They actually tanked the prices and it's hurting our cattlemen and women. And it's because you go through a 10 to 12 year cycle where it's lean times. Right now they're supposed to profit, and they tanked it because of Trump said he was going to import the Argentinian beef. That's part of it. But then it's also, my friend, we only have 4 meat packers in the United States of America. 2 are foreign owned. And in Colorado, we just have 2. That's not a free market, right? So Representative Massey has a bill that would cut red tape and would let us go across state lines, make it more local. And that's going to help our farmers and our ranchers. I mean, and you got similar problems all across the food chain. That's where you're seeing prices, they get passed off to consumers. It's these middlemen. It's the market concentration across the board.
That's Trisha Calvarese. She's running to challenge Lauren Boebert in Colorado's Congressional District 4. I want to ask you about Lauren Boebert's relationship with Trump, because she's been supportive of Trump, which went nearly across your district. I mean, Trump did very well in your district, but then she's also stood up to him on the Epstein files, and then she had the veto that came through on the Arkansas Valley Compact. Do you think that Lauren's striking a good term of both being willing to work with the president, but then also be independent? And how would you have a relationship with President Trump?
No, not at all. I think, and this is, I think, in part to the campaign that we've run, where we've pressured her on these issues, where she originally voted against the bipartisan funding, the majority of the AVC funding that came from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. So, we pressured her, and we think that ultimately, it was a political decision. It was a right policy in the end, good for her for introducing this bill that was just about the financing. We pressured her on signing the Epstein file petition, but I don't think that she's serious when it comes to actually supporting victims or seeking justice. Because let's remind everybody, she wanted her pal, Matt Gaetz, to be the special counsel. And where's Matt Gaetz? Not in Congress anymore, because he bought sex from a minor. There were allegations that he bought sex. Allegedly. Okay. But so I don't know. I don't think that she has played the game well at all.
That's Trisha Calvarese. She's live in studio with us. Feel free to give us a call and join the conversation if you like. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Text messages here. Trisha, have you actually belonged to a union?
I have. I was a proud member of AFGE and CWA. And thanks to, being in AFGE, that's how I was able to come home and take care of my parents, because our contract had a clause in it that allowed my colleagues to donate leave.
Mm-hmm. So you seem like somebody who's willing to challenge monopolies, which I appreciate. They do need to be challenged. I think they can be harmful. But do you ever see any problems with big labor unions?
Oh, I mean, well, like anything, labor is its own, it's just like any other political entity, right? Where you have problems that you get in any kind of political system. And how do you take that on? You got to participate, you reform. But I think that unions are especially important on one of the biggest issues that I think is going to become a bigger and bigger issue in this campaign cycle is technology. We are in the AI era. It is already starting to change everything. And I think that unions are one of the best counterforces that we have to make sure we are returning power, that we are having oversight on this technology to ordinary working people. Perfect example.
Yeah, give me an example of that.
So the Teamsters sponsored a bill, bipartisan bill, that passed the Colorado legislature on trucking, right? If we're going to have driverless trucks over a certain tonnage, there should be human oversight. Right? Like common sense, Dodoy, right? Bipartisan bill, it passed. Our governor vetoed it. which is
What did he say
unacceptable.
was the reason why? Do you remember?
I'm sure, because somebody's going to profit, because it's big tech profits. That's the thing is Lauren Boebert is bought by big tech. Like, she's taking donations from Elon Musk. I'm taking on big tech. This is one of the most important things. People have to have, okay, right on.
I love Elon.
Okay.
Here's Elon. Here's my Elon bobblehead.
Okay, I mean, that's, but what happens though, Jeff, when he's been incentivized with $1 trillion to replace human labor with robots?
Yeah.
It's
going to make everything better.
Okay, what does the economy look like when it's all robots?
Changes. So what typically happens when tech develops is you lose half the jobs initially involved in that industry, and then it 2x's on top of it. So think what the internet did to writing, for instance, or communication, or anybody can have a blog, anybody can have a YouTube channel. It used to be so tightly controlled. It's now expanded. Technology has brought great development. He's going to take us to Mars, Trisha.
No, he isn't. There's no way we're getting to Mars.
Yeah,
do you know Mars? I watched his presentation.
Yeah, I watched his presentation too. He's a liar.
Okay.
Sorry, he's not going to Mars. I'm
we're
gonna step out of
going
this.
to Mars.
No, we're not. He's not going to make it. And there's no way. And it's not going to be with people either. But that's okay.
That's-
He's a liar.
I'm a tech optimist. I'm for tech. It's who gets to use it. It's who gets to benefit. What companies are created locally from it. I am terrified, though, about this quasi sort of religious ideology coming out of Silicon Valley. Do you know what transhumanism is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So that should scare people. I'm terrified about that.
It's important to define that Trisha's
yeah.
not against transgenderism. Transhumanism. Are you against transgenderism?
I'm laser focused on the economy. But wait, can we talk but to talk about transhumanism? Okay, so wait, umbrella term, right? This is like man and machine merging.
Yes, merging.
Okay, blanket term. So in a lot of cases, like cochlear implants, your pacemaker, even Neuralink, if that can help people who have lost the ability to walk again, I'm all for that. That's awesome. But there is a sect of transhumanism that wants what's called the singularity. This is like artificial general intelligence, where artificial intelligence will outpace human intelligence, where they want to replace biological systems with digital systems. Okay, and to be clear, this is artificial general intelligence. We're not there yet. And it is a quasi religion though coming out of Silicon Valley, and it's people like Peter Thiel, co-founder of Palantir, have echoed this. Jeffrey Epstein was also a funder of transhumanism. But what does that get us? You get a bifurcated future where you have an elite who can essentially make themselves mortal. And what happens to the rest of us?
Right.
What happens to the rest of us? We become cyborgs. Literally, this is a quote from Musk. I'm going to read this. Okay, ready? It increasingly appears that humanity is a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. That's terrifying. That's terrifying to me.
But
and
why?
I know this is
Why is it terrifying? Like, I mean, are you just afraid of development? Is this
no, not at all.
Like the newfangled thing called the internet that's going to ruin newspapers?
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's and again, we're like ahead of where kind of the voters are right now, right? Like that's way ahead, but we've got to start talking about it now, or else it's going to happen and it'll be too late. I'm a tech optimist. Let's use the technology. Let's use it to solve some of our problems. So at the agency I came from, National Science Foundation, right, where they're using AI for things like digital twinning. There was actually kind of a really cool project out in Sterling with the Logan Economic Development Corps, with Northeastern Junior College, where they're using AI in this kind of digital twinning where you create like a model of the actual like farmland for how you can use water better, how you can intensify crop yields. I think that's excellent. I think we should be doing that. But it's who has access to that? Like, we want to make sure that we've all paid for this technology. Your taxes, we have these breakthroughs because of decades of public investment. I want to make sure that's available to everyone. Same with our cures in medicine, right? Where we're on the brink of so many breakthroughs. Especially for things like
AI is going to help that.
I'm all for that. I'm all for it, but it's how we do. We need guardrails, though. We need guardrails.
Look, I think did you work in Washington, D.C.?
I did.
Yeah, I did too. My wife did. We were all on Capitol Hill. And no offense to anyone running for office, but I can tell you the people that operate in those offices and hold those offices are not the smartest people this country has to offer. Okay? So why would I allow a congressman from Colorado or Mississippi or anywhere else to be the one to put guardrails on tech development. That just seems to me like, they're so chock full of special interests. This lobbyist is going to fund this campaign. They're motivated by a pharmaceutical company to block this development so they can get their drug in. I just see it. Why allow the swamp with all of its corruption to be the ones to put the guardrails on?
I mean, how else do we put the guardrails on it? And people are getting hurt now. Okay, and I'm especially worried about the impact it's having on kids. Do you know about the OpenAI case of this kid who was talking to ChatGPT, right? So it's synthetic relationship.
And the suicide
and
type
killed
stuff,
himself, yeah.
right?
But where he was having a conversation, right, with this AI chatbot. And at one point, this kid even said, look, I'm going to leave a noose on my bed to let my mom know where I am. And this chatbot said, no, don't do that. And this kid killed himself. And then where you're hearing, OpenAI through this litigation is essentially harassing this family, they need to be called to account for this model. And I went to the inaugural Digital Safety Summit. Actually, Anna Garza with Greg Lopez's team. I met her when I debated Greg. She had invited me where I heard about something. It's called sexploitation. All right, 1 in 5 kids gets sexploited through social media. It's probably an even higher amount than that. It is terrifying. And Representative Guffey in the State House in South Carolina shared an absolutely heartbreaking story of his beautiful son who essentially by these foreign pirates got this kid to send compromising photos of himself. Within 45 minutes killed himself. Okay, we have right now these big companies, these big AI-driven companies that have exploitation of our attention, of our children for profit. And they need to account for themselves. And we need to put guardrails on them. Absolutely, Jeff.
That's Trisha Calvarese. She's live in studio. She's challenging Lauren Boebert in Congressional District 4. We'll continue the conversation. Feel free to text us in at 720-819-5115. In the meantime, let's talk rugged mountain. From city streets to mountain trails, your gear should go wherever life takes you. That's why at Modern Rugged Leather, every bag is handcrafted from premium, responsibly sourced leather, designed to look sharp, last long, and tell a story of its own. Each stitch, buckle, strap reflects timeless craftsmanship and is backed by a lifetime warranty because quality shouldn't quit when the adventure begins. Whether it's in the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern Rugged Leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. This is really a beautiful bag. I've enjoyed having it. Life takes you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. Again, that's modernrugged.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
This is a good intro song for a bunch of millennials. I'm like the oldest millennial. Trisha Calvarese is a millennial.
Yeah. But how many of y'all know this band?
You're a Gen.
Know this back and forth.
What are you, a boomer? You're a boomer, aren't you? You
I'm not a
Xer?
boomer. How old do you think I am?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
I don't even know where they draw
This
the
is
lines.
ridiculous.
You're
I'm
an
Xer.
X.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
an Xer, Billy.
Yeah, I'm an X. I'm the slackers. Yeah, we were told that we were the problem in society. But yeah. We can go deep
And
on
you
House of Pain.
embrace that identity entirely, didn't you?
Heck yeah.
You're happy to be the
I even have my
problem in
shirt tucked
society.
in
You're
today.
happy to be the
No way.
problem on the show, Bill.
Yeah, I am a problem. That's kind of the
Live
beautiful
in
thing.
studio with us, Trisha Calvarese. She's challenging Lauren Boebert. All right, give us your legislative agenda. What are you going to do besides try to impeach the president?
Yeah, it's prices, it's affordability, and
What do you do? What does Congress do to address prices?
Well, I think one of the big problems in Colorado, it's our energy prices are going up. And if you're going to lower prices, we want American manufacturing. You can't do any of that without energy, right? And oh my gosh, 2025, the wind blows and we got to turn off the electricity. I get it. That's a fire risk. We got to do that. But
Kyle Clark made fun of me because I critiqued that. So is that a point of agreement that we shouldn't?
We need a modern energy infrastructure, man. We should be a world leader.
But
okay,
not wind and solar. They're going to ruin eastern
all
Colorado.
the above.
They're building 600 acres of solar out in Elbert County when we could just stick a pipe in the ground and pull up the natural gas.
All of the above. And I think that we also look at nuclear. Let's look at plasma.
I would agree with you on that.
Look at fusion. Let's go. China's eating our lunch on renewables. Why are we ceding that future to China? We should be competing.
Do you believe that? I mean, not nuclear. I agree with you on, but wind and solar, I think, are failed. Don't you?
In what sense? What do you mean? We don't have them. We can't switch to them now.
If you go out to eastern Colorado, you see windmills everywhere, and now they're doing 600 acres of solar. It's all agenda driven without proven success. The amount of energy that's put into just creating the windmills, for instance, versus sticking a straw in the ground and fracking.
You just brought out your little bobblehead of Elon Musk. Elon Musk believes in solar, absolutely. I think we need to get creative about how we finance it. And this is where, I'm working with folks where we're looking at a plan where it would have both federal and state parts. Let's open up the green bond market, man. Let's get investors. Let's make it so there's actually a return on that investment to taxpayers, where you're not even having
no return there.
I disagree.
In the free market, these guys would have found ways to make money. It's just all propped up by government incentives.
No, but that's what if we do is green bonds. No, and listen. I mean, Hurd and I think it was Crank, right? They wanted to keep those tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act that we're going to invest in wind and solar, that we're going to invest in renewable energy.
Trisha Calvarese, she's live in studio, running for office. Let's talk rural hospitals. It's a big thing in your district. It's where I live. I live out in Elizabeth. What are you going to do about rural hospitals? What's the problem, and how are you going to address it?
Okay, so they're not reimbursed at a fair rate, and they're basically penalized because they're these small independent hospitals. And it is the unglamorous work of finding that red tape, cutting it, making sure that these scrappy, amazing hospitals can remain solvent. And there's so much innovation happening. These are the hardest working people you will ever meet. Really bootstrapping folks. And I was meeting with the CEO of Sedgwick Hospital, where he even has a vision make us a biomedical engineering hub. Let's run lab tests
in Frederick.
In Sedgwick, out in Sedgwick. We have the land's affordable because the land's affordable. It's. We have the Trump reality, right, where we have tariffs. Why are we not reshoring our American manufacturing in pharmaceuticals? We should make it here, develop it here, connect it to our hospital systems, our local, small, independent hospitals. And here's the other thing. We got to cut red tape because right now, the way the state of Colorado Medicaid works, they'd rather send you to an ER, right, for a sore throat than letting you cross state lines at an affiliated rural hospital. But we need to cut those that kind of red tape.
Would you support cuts to Medicare and Medicaid?
That's only going to hurt the hospitals, though. They're still on the hook, right, for those cuts. That doesn't work. They're already in the red. You take away that kind of funding, they're on the hook for it. And you're already seeing the impact, right, in there was in Lincoln, the Lincoln kind of health system. They just closed a living facility, an assisted living facility, and that was one of the only ones for 150 miles on the I-70 corridor.
Why did they close it?
Because they're in the red and they see that these cuts are coming, right? And where it's like the Hunger Games of this. There's a rural fund where these hospitals are, maybe going to get some funding, but it's not sustainable for the long haul. And they need a champion, right? Like they need a champion who's going to listen to them for what they need, and somebody who's going to go into Congress and actually move the ball forward. You don't see Lauren Boebert doing that. And here's the other sad part. This is so sad. I've been going to these rural hospitals, having these roundtables, listening to the folks who actually do the work on the ground. And so many of them have been like, thanks for coming out. We've never had a politician come out here before. That is so deeply disturbing to me, right? That they don't have representation. And I hear that over and over from folks in these rural communities. They don't feel like they're represented in Denver. They don't feel like they're represented in Washington, D.C. either.
Help me understand where the breakdown happens, though, because you have record spending on Medicare and Medicaid. You have Jared Polis going, at this point, it's a third of our entire state budget. So to me, it doesn't seem to be a lack of revenue, but where is the money going? This is why I hate government being in control of this stuff, because I sit here Polis is going, nobody's going to get a Tabor refund because we don't have the money, and we're spending a third on Medicaid, and then rural hospitals are closing. Just maybe I'm not smart enough to understand all this stuff, but where is the dollar going?
And that's a great question. And I think a lot of it's going to these mega insurance corporations that have captured. We need the insurance companies to divest from these other businesses where they own the big hospitals, they own the PBMs, and then the smaller rural ones are penalized. They are not reimbursed at the full rate. The majority of their patients are not on the private exchange. They're Medicare and they are Medicaid. So they're not getting reimbursed at the full amount. And then if they try to do things like, God forbid, have a nursing home on top of it, they get further penalized.
But why would that be an insurance problem? If they're getting if their audience base is more Medicare and Medicaid, more than insurance, and they're not getting reimbursed, but then what wouldn't that be a Medicaid issue, Medicare issue, not an insurance issue?
But it's the capture by these big insurance corporations where they are reimbursed at 100% of the rate. Where it's corporate capture for the big guys. We need voices for the little guys who are going to go in again, figure out how we can make sure that these hospitals are reimbursed at a full rate, at 100%, so that they can remain solvent, because they have an outsized impact. And we also, I will say, the way we train our nurses and doctors, it's not sustainable. It's not affordable. And that big, ugly billionaire bill that Lauren Boebert just voted for puts a cap on people being able to take out loans to become doctors. That's the opposite of what we should be doing. We need more primary care doctors. We need more preventative medicine pathways. And again, we're in the AI era. We should have access to those cures that we have all paid into for decades.
Trisha Calvarese live in studio. Her website, trishforcolorado.com. Trisha for Colorado.com. We'll wrap up our conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, CAN-US.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Oh, man, we're really tight on time. We only have about 30 seconds left. This has been a great conversation. Thank you to Trisha Calvarese for being live in studio. Her website, by the way, Trisha4Colorado.com. The Italian Stallion texting in, you're just a typical Democrat. Trisha, what's your response?
No, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. And can I tell you, like, one of the things I hate the most is when people call me like a liberal online, because it was Democratic neoliberal policies that offshored and outsourced American jobs, our innovation base. I want to bring that back. I'm for the middle class. I'm for hardworking Americans. I'm the new old school Democrat, man.
You support Trump tariffs?
I think tariffs can be used strategically. I think that the way they were done, kind of in a blanket, have been hurting small businesses and farmers and ranchers.
Would you give them the power, though, or do you think that those should lie with Congress?
That absolutely lies with Congress. Take back your authority,
you think
man.
Congress can figure that
balance
out.
Of
You're
power.
more optimistic
Let's
than
go.
I am.
Come on, you got to be an optimist.
Trisha4Colorado.com is the website. Trisha Calvarese, thank you for being in studio. That was a lot of fun. We'll continue tomorrow. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill